LEGO has released a lot of trains over the years, but did you know there are trains you'll never buy? Why? Because they never became real sets. They were forgotten in the dusts of time. But today we are uncovering and rediscovering these forgotten LEGO trains that never happened. Did you know LEGO could have released a crocodile locomotive back in the day? Well, this is the amazing story of a LEGO designer that loved trains. Special thanks to Promo Bricks and their amazing review of the Metroliner set with some interesting tidbits there. I definitely recommend you check them out. Link in the description. This is the story of one truly creative LEGO designer. Tobin Blackboard was born in 1959. He started his career at LEGO, however, in February of 1988, after answering a newspaper ad. He was hired as a product line designer, specifically tasked with developing the brand new 9-volt train system. He was joined by two other fantastic designers, Kles Runo Jarnos, a Swede from Gothenburg who already had experience working with the 12-volt system, and Bjarne U. Larsen, a seasoned professional who had been a bricklayer for 30 years before joining LEGO. Starting in 1988, this trio was the dream team responsible for creating the brand new 9V train world from the ground up. Before the 9V system, LEGO trains primarily ran on a 12-volt electric system, which involved a central conductor rail and sometimes additional connection points for power. While innovative for its time, the system had its drawbacks. So the new 9V system aimed to simplify this by integrating conductive metal strips directly into the plastic track pieces, making for a more robust and user-friendly design. There were constant contact issues during play with older systems, for instance, plus 9V had already been introduced in other LEGO themes, making the switch a logical consistency move. The development of the 9V system truly started at square one in early 1988. They had 3 years to develop everything from the ground up. The only strict guidelines they received were to implement the new 9V system and ensure that the old 12V rolling stock could still be used on new 9V tracks, plus keeping the existing magnetic couplings. And we all know how the story goes, right? We got cool new sets like the Metroliner and Cargo Train. But that's not the full picture. Before they landed on the classic Metroliner set 4, 5, 8 we all know and love, they created countless prototypes. The journey from initial concept to the final set was long and involved. Blaborg recalls trying out almost every color variation of high-speed trains worldwide. The photos he shared with Promo Bricks are stunning proof of this rigorous process. They were also designing other sets concurrently. Much of this development happened in highly restricted rooms. Only the closest employees and staff were allowed in. As the saying goes, all of my best work is under NDA. It's amazing to see the sheer amount of work, iteration and strategic thinking that went into crafting the LEGO trains we grew up with, or in my case, looked at eBay and cry because we can't buy them. These never released prototypes gives us a fantastic glimpse into the intense design process, something I love to see. Some of these trains were made purely to test out what was possible, not really to become real sets, but I still want to take a closer look at them and explore what could have been. We start with this green and white passenger train. Taking a closer look at this beauty, it's a sleek, almost bullet train style nose cone, white on top, but then it transitions to this incredibly crisp green livery. If you're a fan of European trains, this screams classic high-speed rail inspiration. It has that distinctive dark slanted window area. They probably experimented with this as a more universally European look, or maybe even Go trains from Canada, before pivoting to the definitive US design from the Metroliner. It's clean, sharp, but ultimately it stayed on the drawing board. It's a case where I prefer the end product, as the Metroliner is just so iconic. Plus, LEGO's white color tends to yellow quite easily. But LEGO could have also released a crocodile locomotive. This is a big, beefy electric locomotive, and the all-brown color scheme gives it this incredibly rugged industrial feel. We can see a pantograph on top, suggesting electric power, and it's even holding a little red open wagon and a white boxcar behind it. This thing looks like it's ready to pull a mile-long train through the Alps. The key detail here is the very classic, almost two-part electric locomotive body, a style that definitely had roots in older European freight designs. It's got a much more serious utility look compared to the flashy Metroliner they eventually released. Then we have a mysterious model, what looks to be some Union Pacific inspired model, and then there's the cryptic details that pop up in the research. We see a mention of a 3712 set, Union Pacific. What do they mean? 3712 could be an internal placeholder, a potential set number for one of these proposed models, or maybe even a reference to a real-world locomotive. Who knows? The Union Pacific mention is huge. It confirms that the team was seriously looking at the American market, and they were considering one of the most iconic US railroad names for a train set. We never got a Union Pacific LEGO set, but we did get a BNSF set. But then we have the coolest photo ever. This is where Torben, Klaas and Bjarne showcased the sheer volume of concepts they were looking for the new 9V systems. Let's call this the designer's library. This incredible display features rows upon rows of potential trains, all clustered together. Every single model on these shelves represents a color test, a design variation, or a locomotive type. Look closely. On the upper shelves, you see a flurry of what looks to be smaller industrial and steam era locomotives. We have various red, black, yellow, and even some dark green schemes. It confirms they weren't just thinking about high-speed rail, they were developing a whole system, freight haulers to yard switchers to locomotives. Every one of those models is a what-if for a set that could have been. I would love to see somebody trying to recreate this with modern pieces, maybe on Rebrickable. Move down a couple of shelves and you hit the passenger rail and broader Unity vehicles. You can spot bright red and white trains, blue and yellow designs, and even some models that look like early ideas for track maintenance or industrial vehicles. This shelf really drives home the designer's goal of creating a diverse global train line, proving that the final decision for the grey Metroliner was one choice out of dozens of possibilities. Now check out the bottom row. These look like longer passenger coaches and slightly larger locomotives. We see coaches in red, white, dark green and yellow. This shows the team was also heavily focused on modularity and the various rolling stock. This display wasn't for public viewing, let's keep that clear. It was an internal showcase. The fact the prototypes were eventually broken up for parts, as Torben mentioned, makes a photo like this priceless. It's the ultimate visual proof of intense 3-year process that led to the legendary 9V system. It wasn't a single line of thought, it was an explosion of creativity that was eventually narrowed down to some of the most iconic LEGO sets ever made. Again, special thanks to Promo Bricks for the pictures and amazing article talking about this. Now, another model we never got from LEGO came more recently, a snake train. This model would have been part of the Ninjago line. Fast forward to the early 2010s and the Ninjago team had a totally different kind of train on their tracks. You might have heard whispers of the LEGO Ninjago Snake Train, and thanks to these rare prototype images, we can confirm it was very much real. This beast is a mashup of LEGO's two greatest hits trains and crazy fantastical vehicles of the Ninjago world. This train was clearly designed to be a vehicle for the Serpentine faction. It uses the Hypno-Bray colors of lime green, black and vibrant purple. This makes sense as it aligns perfectly with sets like the Fangpire Truck Ambush and the entire Rise of Snake storyline. The locomotive section at the front is incredible. It's built like a steam engine, complete with black wheels and a cow catcher, or in this case, mice catcher. But the boiler and the cabin are replaced by a sleek, aggressive lime green bodywork, making it look like a high-speed snake head. The black and purple striping gives it that classic snake skin pattern. Why was this amazing set cancelled, never made, or whatever? Well, unlike the 9V era, this appears to have been an internal design study, potentially a proposed set that ultimately didn't make the cut. The set number 9456 was used, but went to a completely different release product, the Spinner Battle Arena. This is a common fate for prototypes. The set number is reused for another model that gets the green light. Even if the set never made it to production, it still remains an interesting idea in Ninjago's long history. In the end, these unreleased LEGO trains show just how much experimentation and creativity went on behind the scenes, from the early 9V prototypes to the cancelled Ninjago Snake Train. Each concept reveals ideas that never made it to the shelves, but helped to shape the LEGO trains we all know and love.